So ever since I've been flying the DJI FPV drone, one of the things that I thought that it really needed was longer gimbals. They're just way too short. The originals are just way too short. So I went on Amazon and picked up a set of aftermarket gimbals. I got them screwed in. I'm gonna give them a shot. Let you know what I think. Let's see how it flies. All right. So, let me unplug this. Let's talk about the gimbals. Low short flight, wasn't really trying to get a lot of flight time in. Whether you can tell or not by the movement of the trees, it is pretty gusty out right now, and the FPV drone is more susceptible to wind gusts and bumps and turbulence than your standard FPV drone, mainly because it's sort of like a biplane setup. As you can tell, you have two different wings. You actually have airfoiled wings, and when you get it out here and you're trying to do maneuvers, it gets caught in that wind and it gets caught in the direction that you're going, like a rudder or an aileron, and it wants to stick to that track. So without all of the long-winded excuses for my somewhat sloppy flying with a drone that I am very uncomfortable with, let me put that down and let's just talk about the gimbals. Interesting feelings of these gimbals. I can tell you right now, when I first started, even gripping it up and preparing to take off, I felt like I was standing on stilts. The original gimbals are these tiny little things like this, and compared to these, they are about the length of, if I can get that in the camera, they are about the length of the aftermarket gimbals without the extension on it. So I am at least another half-inch above where I'm used to feeling out controls. That is one thing. Another thing about adding additional, or not additional, aftermarket gimbals. I'm dropping everything now. as one thing about adding aftermarket gimbals is you're going to get different throw lengths, right? So with the shorter gimbals, it's going to feel like you have very short throws, and with the longer gimbals, it's going to feel like it takes you forever to get to those points where you're normally used to on sticks. If you're a pincher or a thumber, you kind of feel out muscle memory because you get that feel of where things are, kind of like around center. With these longer gimbals, it just feels like you got so much longer throws, and it kind of throws you off a little bit. So it depends on how you want to fly, right? So if you want those long throws, like usually guys who are into freestyle want the longer throws, even when they have smaller controllers like the Tango 2, they want something that's going to give them those really long throws so they get those really snappy maneuvers, right? You're throwing it way out to the left, way out to the right, and the drone is going to perform in the way that you want it to perform. I felt like with the shorter gimbals, that was kind of limited. It was like a handicap. Having those shorter gimbals, it felt like I was kind of having to push further to get the maneuver that I want. So now definitely I like the way that it's flying with the longer gimbals, but I also feel like I'm standing on a pair of stilts right now. It's going to take me a little bit longer to adjust to the difference in length of these gimbals. These gimbals, like I said, also have the ability to adjust out. So right now, well, I got to kind of do it in 2 stages. They're at the bottom length, and like I said, they're still as long as, they're at the bottom length, and they're still longer than the stock gimbals at the first tier. And as you can see, you can adjust that out a little bit more, and you can adjust out this little locking nut right here at the bottom, which is now I'm going to twist out with it because I kind of tightened it down too much. Let me get them untightened, and then I can show you. So you can untighten this, and you can twist out the first tier to give you even more length, and then the bottom here has a little locking nut on. As you can see, that's extending out. I mean, that extends out pretty far. That's probably about as far as I want to go if I'm looking down that center hole. The threads on the top are right at the base of the top gimbal crown, and then the lock nut actually would come up against the bottom of that, and if I can get that to focus, and lock it down. So now you have something that's even longer than they come at their shortest length. So advantages of these, yeah, I think there's an advantage if you like longer throws and you really want to throw this FPV drone around. Disadvantages are they are longer, so you're going to have to probably relearn your flying style a little bit, just kind of feel them out. I know a lot of people either pinch or they thumb. I'm sort of a hybrid. I thumb with support of my index fingers, so I'm doing more like this. And like I said, even with my hybrid, the way of flying here, it just feels like I'm not even, like when I'm flying this the normal way, I feel like I hit the ends easy, and when I fly with these longer gimbals, it feels like I am really reaching. Like I don't even feel like, not looking at this, I felt like I was like, damn, that's where the top should be, and it ain't there, and I got to push a little bit further. So just something you should think about if you're going to go to extended gimbals. But yes, it does, in my opinion, give me a little bit more control over the quad, being able to have a little bit more throw, I guess maybe even a little bit more leverage over it, and not have to feel like I'm understeering. I mean, I was in this video, I don't know if it was this video, I actually shot 2 videos because when I took off the first time, really sloppy. Like I said, it's super windy, and it was pushing this drone like way out where I didn't want it to be. I undershot one of my normal circuits. Like I would do this course where I would go around a tree and kind of like do a kind of a half split S and come underneath the tree. I undershot that and literally had to pull up over top of that tree before I ended up in the top of that tree, because of the different change in gimbal. So I took it conservatively, got a little bit of a warm up, flew it around a little bit more, and I know, like I said, this wind is picking up, so you probably hear it in the microphone, and then I started to fill it out. Another thing about the aftermarket gimbals is, sorry about the wind, they do not fit in the gimbal slot. So if you want to go with aftermarket gimbals, you're going to have to take them off and store them somewhere. Store them. They came in a little box, which I have in the house, but they're definitely not going to fit in the slots that are made for storing your gimbals when you're not flying the quad. Is that a deal breaker for most people? No, I don't think so, because usually guys are out, doing 3D printed stuff and like would make up some kind of like gimbal holder so you don't damage your gimbals. And put it in the bag, and they're okay with it. I probably wouldn't want to take them out as much because I know I'm probably going to lose one eventually, or something's going to happen where the top crown's going to come off and I'm going to lose it. So I probably want to leave these in, but my bag is big enough to hold the controller with the gimbals on it. And like I said, I don't really get into like the paranoia of it breaking. It could happen. If it does, I'll send it back and get it fixed, but that may be a deal breaker for you. Fit and finish is really nice. I mean, probably can't see this because my camera is set up to, it's always going to focus on my face. So if I cover my face, it's not going to find my face. Because you can see they're very nice gimbals. I mean, they look really good. That looks weird as hell. I'm not even going to do that. They're really nice gimbals. Gold anodized on the top, like a gray anodized on the bottom. Not sloppy at all. Nice and tight. They don't feel like there's any wiggle in them once you got them tightened down. And the crown on top's got a nice little jimping or grip on it so that you can get a nice little thumb on there if you're into thumbing. I don't have any complaints, and the best part about it was, I know a lot of people are going to sell you some aftermarket parts for a lot of money. These are only $9.99 from Amazon. Pretty sure you could probably get a cheaper pair from Banggood.com. Pay shipping, wait for a month for it to come in. I think $9.99 is a good deal if you're interested in an upgraded set of gimbals. And other than that, I mean, yeah, I kind of like them. I like them, but I know I'm going to have to refly or repilot on this, which is good for me right now because I've actually been tweaking and tuning on the FPV drone. I bought it months ago and really didn't fly because it did not fly like any other quad that I own. Come to find out that I actually had to get into the settings and kind of change some of those parameters around. I pretty much took out as much of the dead, what do they call it, center stick sensitivity, adjusted the gain a little bit, and turned down an expo a little bit because I think DJI intended for this thing to be flown more mild, and I know a lot of guys have been flying it. I know they've been doing 3D bando bashing with it, but yeah, it had so much of a dead band around center stick with that center stick sensitivity, even at its lowest, because it only lets you go down to 20. I feel like when I'm moving the sticks, I got to move out this far for that drone to actually move. And you can see that if you have one of these, you can see that where that center stick dead band or that center stick sensitivity is so wide around that gimbal that you got to push it almost out to the first line for that drone to move. You'll get it center and then you'll be like, why isn't it moving? And then it'll go off like that. So when it was wider, when it was at 160, I felt like I had to push out to the second line to get it to move, and that was causing this thing to take off like a bat out of hell. So I am getting kind of off, on a different tangent about this video, but just some things that I've been going through with the FPV drone, and definitely now that I'm, it ain't like one of those things that you can actually easily sell. A lot of guys have gotten it, and now they're thinking about either getting out of it, or the guys who want to get into it want it for super cheap, and I got over 2,000 in it. I'm definitely not going to sell it. I got more batteries, I got more time, I got refresh care that I can crash this thing 2 times and get it repaired. I got a lot more to learn, and I'm going to be doing other things for the FPV drone, any accessories that come out. And also I wanted to try some of the hacks that have been talked about through dronehacks.com on either the FPV drone or, sorry about the cars, either on the FPV drone or on the Mavic Air 2, which I haven't had in a while either. So definitely getting back into kind of creating some more content around drones. I know I've been away from it for a while because I've just been doing so many different things, but I got a little bit of time right now, so I'm going to try to get up as much content as possible. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you following the channel. Talk to you later. Peace.